Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. Now available in paperback and e-readers, E-Steam Horror of the Hyena Woman. Hell's aspiring angel takes on a wicked werewolf in this action-packed all-new E-Steam series adventure. Get E-Steam Horror of the Hyena Woman in paperback and e-readers today.
And in tonight's Crime Alert, a local mother is charged with shooting and killing a man who was found hiding under her child's bed early yesterday morning. WREG's Caitlin Barker is live in the neighborhood where the shooting took place with the latest on what happened. Caitlin?
Good afternoon, Stephanie. This shooting took place here at around 1:40 a.m. and it happened at this home right across from me on Travis Road. Now, this all happened after a mother found a man in her house. She says he was hiding under a child's bed. When police arrived, they found the man dead near the front porch. Now, the woman, 36-year-old Kendra Scott, now faces multiple charges, including first-degree murder and employment of a firearm during the commission of a dangerous felony. The man who was shot has now been identified as Redarius Morton. According to police, Morton was invited by a child to the home and came in through the back door at 1 a.m. The arrest affidavit says when Kendra Scott came home, she was heard banging on the front door and yelling, "Who's at my house?" Once the child opened the door, Morton was found hiding under the child's bed. As Morton was leaving the house, both Scott and Morton went out to the front porch, and that's when the juvenile says she heard a gunshot. Morton was found shot in the back of the head. Now, I spoke with one neighbor who says he feels bad for everyone involved.
For the child, since her mama going to jail, the boy family, since he was walking away, and I guess I feel bad for the mama. She should have thought more.
Now, I spoke to multiple neighbors who say that in this case, nobody wins. Now, we're actively working to confirm the age of the man that was involved and the juvenile, and we'll have more on that at 10 p.m. tonight. I'm Caitlin Barker reporting live for your news leader, WREG News Channel 3.
Now, according to reports, 36-year-old Kendra Scott, a black female single mother, was extremely upset about her daughter allegedly bringing boys to her home while she was out at work. And she was so upset about this situation that she allegedly threatened her daughter, saying she would put a hole in one of these boys, and this did not deter her daughter from continuing to look to go out here and get involved with these boys as she was on social media. And as things were escalating in the Scott home, this is where the 13-year-old daughter allegedly invited 20-year-old Rodarius Morton, the name like Rodarius, we know he's a Pookie, into her home at 1 in the morning. And after inviting Rodarius into the home, this is where Kendra Scott basically became so fed up, she came back to her home. And as she came back to her home with a firearm, she then confronted 20-year-old Rodarius Morton, who she found hiding under her daughter's bed. And after she confronted Rodarius Morton, he was scrambling to get out of that home. And as he was scrambling to get out of that home with his belongings, basically Kendra Scott then took out her firearm and allegedly shot Rodarius Morton once in the back of the head. And after shooting Rodarius Morton in the back of the head, Kendra Scott was then taken into custody by police and charged with first-degree murder. Now, the police are seeing this as an isolated incident. However, when I take a critical examination of the series of tragic events that took place revolving around Kendra Scott and her promiscuous 13-year-old daughter and Rodarius Morton, it definitely fits within the pattern and profile of feminist indoctrinated women that I talk about in my book, the woman crisis, and it also fits within the sexually promiscuous behavior of feminist indoctrinated children and children of the corn I talk about in the woman crisis, and the behavior of Roderick Morton fits within the behavior of thirsty simps that I talk about in my book, Stop Simpin', Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, and the behavior of beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And it looks like to me that Kendra Scott was trying to apply a Medea-type approach to dealing with these older boys who were going out here and looking to get involved with her daughter. And that Medea type approach, yeah, it works well as related to entertaining people in Tyler Perry movies. However, there are consequences for those type of actions as related to the law. Unfortunately, this feminist indoctrinated woman was so caught up in her feelings about looking to get back at these boys who were out here with her sexually promiscuous daughter. She wasn't thinking critically about the consequences, and as a result, she wound up going out here as this boy was leaving the residence and shooting him in the head, not understanding that under the law, basically this trespasser who had been in her home basically was leaving the home, and that meant that the threat was basically over. And if the threat was over, when you go out here and shoot at that person, that's considered to be a crime. And that's where this woman basically got herself completely jammed up, because she was so caught up in her feelings about her daughter and the promiscuous behavior she was participating in that she went out here and acted on her impulses of anger. And as she acted on those impulses of anger, she basically wound up in a situation where she wound up losing her freedom and making her whole situation just that much worse as related to the dysfunctional state of her daughter. What Kendra Scott should have done after Roderick wound up leaving her home is she should have contacted the police and filed a police report and sought a warrant out against Roderick Morton, because she would have been within her legal rights as related to being the parent of a minor to get charges filed against this man for getting with her underage daughter, and that's the way she could have constructively dealt with this situation as related to the promiscuous behavior of her daughter. Now, when it comes down to Kendra Scott's daughter basically was out here running them streets the same way many daughters of feminist indoctrinated women do. Y'all mothers don't know the dirt your daughters be doing in these streets while y'all be at work. These chicks got a lot of skeleton bones that they don't ever tell you about. Because when it comes down to many of these feminist indoctrinated women, basically as they're on the job, there's nobody at that home to go out here and give this girl supervision or be able to nurture this girl, because possibly there was no father in the home, because usually when it comes down to these homes, it's the father who nurtures the daughter and also provides for the daughter so that the mother can go out here and give her guidance. Unfortunately, in a single mother household, the mother is out here working all the time. And as she's working all the time, she's deeply frustrated because she has to take on that leadership role as a head and try to lead her household. Meanwhile, as she's trying to lead the household, there's nobody there to give the daughter guidance. And what happens is that the daughter learns about being a woman from social media. And possibly what happened here is that this 13-year-old girl, basically, as she was out here not getting her emotional needs met by her father or given guidance by her mother, what happened was this daughter basically went to social media and saw all the attention she was seeing from all these people getting likes on social media, and started going out here as she entered into adolescence and started participating in all sorts of ratchet behavior like posting provocative photos on social media, trying to get likes and attention from all these adult men. A lot of these mothers looked at their daughter's social media and be like opening a gateway to hell. You wouldn't even think that's your child. And as she was out here running these streets, she was out here possibly entertaining many of these older guys, like many of these guys, like this guy, Roderick Morton. And this type of attention basically is like a big drug for most of these adolescent girls who are not getting their needs met by their parents. And basically, this was something that elevated this girl's social status as related to her social currency, because for many of these adolescent girls, getting the attention of an 18, 19, 20-year-old guy, that is something that they consider to be a badge of honor. And these girls don't know that they're being taken advantage of by an older man. No, all they're doing is getting a hit of dopamine as related to the addiction to attention they're receiving. And they're caught up in the attention that they're receiving from this older guy. And that was the thing that was causing a lot of the friction between this woman, Kendra Scott, and her daughter. Basically, what was causing a lot of the friction was that this daughter basically was out here, and as she was running these streets, she was getting attention from these older guys, and as she was looking for that love she would have got from a father, basically what she was doing was possibly getting into situations with these older men. And the mother, not knowing how to deal with the situation, was becoming more and more frustrated, becoming more and more angry, simmering and boiling in anger, and basically going out here making threats and not going out here and doing what any healthy mother would do, which is go out here and beat that ass and chop up that ass like a lumberjack, and also talk to her daughter and let her know that this is not a constructive way to get attention. No, let her know that this is not the way you go out here and get attention from these guys. And when it comes down to these grown men are basically looking to take advantage of this girl, no different than what I saw growing up when I was 12 years old in junior high school. Now, when I was 12 years old in junior high school, sadly, I saw the same pattern of behavior happen to a lot of girls when I was just in junior high school, because those mothers worked. And as those mothers worked, what happened was many of these Pookie type guys, like this Roderick Morton, they would just be hanging out on the block. And these girls, because they were filled with hormones, would get in their feelings. And as they would get in their feelings about this cute guy who was older paying them attention, they would look to go out here and get involved with these guys. And as they saw these other teenage girls out here who were the same age as these guys, what would happen is these girls would want to try to get an advantage over them in the social marketplace that they were not ready for. And what would happen is these girls would start offering to give themselves up sexually to these guys in places like the staircase of the projects, or even in the mother's home, inside of the mother's bed. What would happen is these grown men would be out here smashing these girls. Again, these 18, 19, 20-year-old guys, even guys as old as 25 and 30 years old would be out here in these streets, and they would be out here with these daughters. And what would happen is, as these daughters were with these guys, again, they were feeling an emotional high because this guy was paying them attention. And as this guy was paying them attention, they were feeling all sorts of good, and they would be out here looking to diss all of us guys who were their own age, and be sitting up here at the lunch table bragging about how they had this older boyfriend who was 18, 19, 20, 21, 23, even 25, 30 years old. They would be sitting up here bragging about how they had this older boyfriend who was, again, as he was getting them to drop the skid mark jockey draws and give them a taste of the atomic waste from the special place, they would be out here bragging about how this guy lets them drive around in their Mercedes or their BMW or their Jeep Cherokee, or be out here buying these girls things like Gucci bags and shearling coats. They would be bragging about all this as some sort of accomplishment, all because these girls basically did not get any sort of guidance from their mother, and all that while these girls wouldn't know that they were being targeted by, again, men who these days would be considered sexual predators by going out here and preying on an underage girl. Nope, in the 1980s, this happened all the time, especially during the era of the crack epidemic. And these women who are the great-grandmothers of the girls, like this 13-year-old girl, basically were out here in the streets not knowing that they were basically these guys were committing a crime by getting involved with them, because according to the law, only a person who is 18 years old can go out here and have a sexual relationship with another adult. That's the law as related to things, but that didn't stop these girls. Nope, didn't stop these girls as related to their sexual promiscuity. Nope, they didn't stop them at all. And a lot of this sadly was encouraged by many of these mothers out here who basically saw their daughters out here with these drug dealers and these gang members and wanted to go out here and benefit from that. That was what happened back in the 1980s. And almost 40 years later, sadly, here in 2026, we see this descendant of that type of single mother, because when I do the math on the age of this woman, Kendra Scott, basically this is a 36-year-old woman. So that means that this woman basically had this child at maybe 19, 20 years old. And sadly, her daughter was following in the footsteps as related to a possible generational curse that I'm seeing, because here we have, again, 36-year-old mom with a 13-year-old daughter, and possibly she came from a single mother. And what this woman became frustrated about was a culture that went on ever since the 1980s, as far as I know as an adolescent. Again, I saw this going on, and again, was basically dissed by many girls when I was 13, because they were getting the attention of these older guys, these older Pookie type guys. And what happened here in this situation was this mother got frustrated because she didn't know how to handle this situation as related to this daughter being out here. And as she was out here selling herself on social media, she didn't even possibly even know what she was doing, because again, the 13-year-old basically is emulating the behavior she sees from other women. She possibly had one of these cell phones, and as she had one of these cell phones, basically was out here again with this cell phone. And as she had this cell phone, she was on things like places like IG and possibly posting up all sorts of inappropriate pictures. And this was possibly being done because with a lot of these parents, they think, oh, my kid needs a cell phone. Nope, your kids do not need a cell phone. This is something I didn't have a cell phone in 1987 when I was 13 years old. And again, I was able to go on. But these days, parents give their kids these cell phones, and these kids are being exposed to all sorts of inappropriate stuff. And then they want to emulate this stuff because they don't see anybody at home to show them a model of actual womanhood. And what happens with girls like this is they basically get targeted by two types of predators. You got the guys on social media giving them likes, clicks, and views. Then you got the guys on the block, basically these Pookies out here like this. This was just a Pookie out here. He was out here in these streets. And again, this girl was out here caught up in the attention she was getting from all these guys on the street, and thinking she could go out here and elevate her social status by inviting these guys into the house while mama was working and letting these guys go out here and smash, not understanding she was destroying her reputation because mama wasn't at home. And mama's whole emotional approach did not go out here and give this girl the social education that she needed. No, she responded with her feelings. And as she responded with her feelings, she went out here making threats about looking to again take the life of these guys, when in actuality the thing to do was to sit down and talk to your daughter and let her know, you don't want to be out here in these streets with these grown men. And you don't want to be out here in these streets with these grown men, because these men are looking to take advantage of you and look to use your body. And after they use your body and turn you out, they're going to go out here and look to ridicule and mock you. And this is going to lead to you having a bad reputation. That's what a healthy mother would sit down and tell her daughters about these guys paying attention to her. And they would tell her, you don't want to be putting these type of pictures on your social media, because these type of pictures are going to go out here and attract these thirsty simp type guys, because that's what this guy basically was. This guy basically was one of these thirsty simps who was just caught up in his feelings about, hey, this girl basically is one that I can go out here and basically get easy and go out here and get my taste of the atomic waste from the special place. He didn't really even care about her being underage. All he cared about was getting that taste of the waste from the special place, having a notch in his belt. That's what this guy only cared about. And the sad part is that because this woman basically responded like Medea in a Tyler Perry movie and looked to go out here and look to take the life of this guy, she's basically made this whole situation just that much worse. And she's made it just that much worse because now this guy, he's a pervert and a piece of shit, and he's dead at this point. But the whole thing is that this child's whole life is just that much worse, because now her mother is on the road to the women's penitentiary, where she'll be in there with Betty, Martha, and Big Lou and Miss Bubbles, and be in there having to deal with that whole social pecking order. And no one will be there for this girl and to give her the guidance and supervision that she needs. No, she's going to be out here either in the child protective services, in the foster system, or she's just going to be in a home of a relative. And what's worse is going to happen is that the sexual promiscuity that this daughter was participating in is only going to get that much worse. Yeah, mama killed the first one, but this girl basically is going to be addicted to this attention and be out here with more of these Pookie type guys. She'll be out here with more of these Pookie type guys, and there'll be no one to stop anything this time. No, she'll just basically be like many of the girls I had run into in high school and junior high school, where all these guys basically will wind up turning this daughter out, and sadly there will be no one to give her that guidance to get off that road, because mama's in jail. We don't know where the father is, and this girl basically is going to be winding up getting lost either in the child protective system or out here in these streets. And that's all because mom came from a generation of women who basically, again, learned under feminism and Tyler Perry how to go out here and look to sate their feelings instead of sitting down and talking to their daughters. Instead of sitting and talking to their daughters, what these women have learned is, go out here and look to shoot this guy or go out here and hurt this guy, when the way you stop your daughter from going out here and running these streets and looking to go out here and get with these guys is by giving them the knowledge that they need to know. So those are the things that a mother has to do. Again, you see your daughter out here with these different guys. First thing you do is chop up that ass like a lumberjack, and then you go out here and sit and talk to your daughter, because the way you stop the boys from coming at your daughter is to give your daughter the knowledge, because the knowledge you give your daughter basically stops the guys from looking to go after your daughter. I mean, these 18, 19, 20, 22, 25, 30-year-old guys only go after girls that basically don't have no knowledge, and they take advantage of the situation the way I saw back in the 1980s. I mean, I saw this happening firsthand in the 1980s. Saw these girls basically bragging about these guys who were basically, again, Pookie type guys, because, again, guys out here who are 18, 19, 20, who got a job, they looking at other 18, 19, 20-year-old women who are either at that job or on the street. They're looking at women their own age. But these guys who are doing this, they're doing this because they're just basically out here and again in these streets, and they're looking for any opportunity again to get them draws. And again, they don't care about how young the girl is. It's all about them getting the advantage in the situation. And this is why some smart mothers will be just say, hey, I'm going to talk to my boss about letting my daughter come to work when they come out of school, because I want to make sure that my daughter is with me, because I know how these boys are. I know how these guys are when I'm at work. And again, I'll take the daughter to work and let them be with me so that they won't be around these guys or have that opportunity to go out here and be in these streets. That's what many mothers would do. They would say, okay, I don't want my daughter out here in these streets, because I know that if she's out here and she's out here by herself, she gonna wind up looking to talk to some of these guys, or some of these guys, they gonna come in here with that goofy, cute guy smile and be looking to say, hey, baby, why don't we come to your house and, we could hang out. They do stuff like that. And many mothers basically, again, y'all really don't know how it go out here in these streets with these teenage girls. No, you don't. A lot of us we basically don't want to talk about that, but I basically know how it go in these streets, because when I was a teenager myself, saw this going on all the time. And as I saw it going on all the time, basically know how many of these girls wind up getting themselves basically spiritually lost, because they go out here and get with these guys, because the spirit and DNA of that Pookie basically becomes bonded to that girl as related to things and as related to their relations. And many of these girls wind up getting pregnant by these dudes, because they be out here again, and they be out here not with just one guy. They have rotations of guys. That's another thing that many of these mothers don't know. Many of these girls out here, they was having, back in my day of the 1980s, they was having 2, 3, 4 boyfriends. And again, mama don't know what's going on. Mama don't know what's going on, because she's just sitting at work talking to that white boss and believing all these feminist lies about, oh, I'm working my way up the ladder. Meanwhile, all these guys are climbing a ladder to go out here and get with your daughter. That's how dirty things be going in these streets. And y'all don't know how dirty folks, these daughters be going and doing all sorts of stuff. Nope, you don't know what your daughters is doing. And if you find that, if many of these women were to go out here and tell the truth, because a lot of these women, again, from Gen X, they don't want to talk about that thing that was going on as related to what they were doing. I mean, like, you can see it in movies like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Basically, if you look at the Jennifer Jason Leigh character, again, she was doing the same type of dirt. If you look at that movie, she was out here with that 26-year-old guy, and basically he was out here with this teenager. Again, this was going on all the time as related to things since the 1980s. But in this situation, again, people are talking, oh, this guy is a PDF file for getting with this girl. But the whole thing is, this been going on for many years. This been going on for many years as related to these girls. And a lot of mothers, again, they don't take the time to talk about this situation and talk about these guys. They don't sit there and talk about these guys. And as a result of them not having this talk with their daughters wind up on the road to, again, a generational curse that leads to all of them becoming women in crisis generation after generation. Now, if you want to learn how to identify the promiscuous behavior of a child of the corn that grows up like a stalk like this, you can go out here and pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, that talks about why the daughters are behaving like this, and possibly come up with a solution to sit there and talk to your daughter. Because the way you stop this type of situation is you talk to your daughter and you basically chop up that ass, because the way you deal with this situation is you have to stop the daughter from going out here and running wild in these streets. And that's how you deal with that situation, similar to what I put in one of my novels, the legendary Mad Matilda, where mama basically chopped up that ass at 21 years old, because when mothers care, they will go out here and chop up that ass and deal with that daughter. They don't go out here and say, oh, it's the guys out here, because the guys gonna be the guys. And again, these Pookies, basically, the way you deal with Pookie is, again, you also go out here and contact the police and call the police on these guys and get these guys arrested, because that's how you deal with that situation. You deal with that situation not by going out here Medea style with a gun, but you deal with it by going out here and calling the police and having this guy arrested because he's committed a crime by getting involved with this underage child. And this is an underage child, I want everybody to know. And again, this is how you deal with that situation. And I'm going to repeat that because you need to understand, again, there's a way to deal with this situation. And this woman didn't deal with this situation properly. And that's why we've gone from one mother being in crisis to a daughter being in crisis. And this situation being a completely just sad situation as related to this whole, this child's life. And that's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today.
Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.